Hell yeah. I'm still sick, but I have an amazing guest that'll speak all the time instead of me.
Yeah, to save you.
Save me, Jama.
I will, bro. Like I can
Save
feel
me,
for you.
Jama. Yeah.
Being sick is not a good thing at all.
No, it fucking sucks. It sucks
It
a
does.
lot. I hate it. I've
Yeah,
been like that. Um I've been like that for past week and a half maybe.
yeah. No, it's crazy. I know what you mean. Like once on one occasion, even before I started concept art, I was sick and I have to deliver something. Man, by morning, I thought I'm gonna die. I'm gonna pass out. I was that close. Like my heart would go. Like I could feel every beat of my heart, and I decided like I'm not doing this to myself again, ever again. And then I did a few times again and again. But overall, if you're sick, you better have a rest. So
Yeah.
I will try to take this over and let you rest a little bit.
Yeah, man. I went to THU like on the flight there. Flying fucks me up all the time. Like for
Oh,
whatever
really?
reason, if I'm flying, it's almost guaranteed that I'm gonna have some kind of bug or something. So when I landed, I felt a little, a little shady, little,
Yeah,
a little under the weather, but it wasn't anything like bad, you know.
yeah,
Sort of went away towards the end. I guess the booze and fucking just talking with people helped, and a lot of smoke. I guess I was so overwhelmed with people smoking that
yeah.
I just the cough from the smoke was suppressing the cough from the from cold.
Yeah.
um
Well, it's always like that, especially if you travel. Like it's only occasionally I have a stomach ache almost all the time. I travel too far away, just because you're so used to your own bacteria. So
yeah,
whenever
yeah.
bacteria without visa enter your body,
But you
they
know what
get,
helps? You know what really
yeah,
helps is like after if you feel shitty after you travel, like at least take a walk right after, or and do some little fasting, like a little bit of fasting, like not eating for a while.
yeah,
That
yeah.
helps. Like I don't know why, but it does help. At least to
Next
me.
time,
Yeah.
next time
Yeah, try
I'll
it.
do it
Like
for sure.
some kind of exercise right after you land. Like you just sweat out all the shit and take a shower. You feel good. I always feel good, dude.
Nice, cool.
But
I will
yeah, when I
take your
came back,
advice.
I fucking like immediately went into freaking flu mode, and has been like
Yeah,
that since then. It's ridiculous. I haven't felt so bad in the longest time, man. But
yeah,
it's passing away. It's getting better. It's getting better.
yeah.
So we're good.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's hope it's gonna pass as soon as possible.
Yeah.
We need people like you, Mache.
Well,
If
you're
you
doing
can't,
good. You're doing great. So that's what matters.
nah, not
Especially
really.
now
Yeah,
since you're the guest. So yeah, how have you
yeah.
been, man?
It's actually super cool that you guys having me again because, like, I think since the moment we started Learn Square and all those courses, it's just been like really, really fun time with the students and with these new upcoming courses. Every time I see something new from you guys, I go, wow, that's really, really nice. And because I get everything for free, I'm even more excited. I just start watching. Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, it's just like, and also somehow I told you before we started it, kind of like this recent days I started picking up really code again,
hmm
because not again, I use it all the time, but like there are a few things that I started exploring and people started like bombarding me. And it's always like I feel intimidating to sound like, hey guys, like there's this course I did. So I felt like maybe we
Yeah.
should just come together. I show a few things, and if you want, there is a 8-week course you can go and just see how it's actually working. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and this opportunity to share stuff is
Yeah,
always
man,
really
you're
cool.
always welcome, man. You're always welcome. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
let's
Let,
jump into some magic. We invited
let's
you to
jump in.
show us some magic. Like there's an ongoing, and that's I think it's like it's been written on the internet, so it must be true
Yeah.
that your real name is Harry Potter.
Oh yeah. And the Gandalf the Grey. I use both of them
Yeah,
depending
you're
on
Jama the
occasion.
Grey, the Jama of
Yeah.
Oz.
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes when you pick up VR stuff, then you're Jama the
yeah.
White,
Oh man.
the
There's so many
transformed
times
Jama.
people came back to me like, yeah, I would post something in VR and apparently just like you're saying, it looks cool. and people will go, "Oh man, like I should buy it." It's like, "Yeah, yeah, try it out." It's like, and they buy it and they come back to me and they're like, "Man, shit, I didn't know you have to draw to use it." I was like, I didn't know you have to draw to use it. This is, of course, you have to know like basics to it. It's not. It's just another tool, you know. It doesn't solve all your problems. You still have to know this, that, and it's just like
You do.
su-
You do, my friend. You have to
super
know the
cool.
basics. Without the
Yeah,
basics, fuck off.
yeah. It's just like I actually was like I'm not stalking you, but recently I was rewatching a few art cafes.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I have time, I catch up with what has been out there. And yeah, and I every now and then you bring up this conversation of basics, and it's actually very essential. Like a lot of people kind of miss this point, and it hurts. Like especially if you can start generating beautiful pictures and slash concepts fairly quickly with Octane. Today, you just press like you uncheck this button, and you can have like a really beautiful picture. You know. But then how do you get there? That's the different concept. And I think like always reminding people that uh, fundamentals is a very essential thing. And without that,
Yeah.
it's very difficult to get somewhere. The problem is like from my own experience, people try to not listen to that kind of stuff. They want tricks. They want, so it's very, very
Yeah. People
interesting.
like shortcuts, right?
Yeah, they
Just
love
getting
shortcuts.
shit done really quick. And to some
Yeah.
degree, your 3D code intro to what was 3D concept design, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is a little bit of that, truly a little bit of that, because the tools you're sharing and the workflows you're sharing over there are,
Yeah.
making things super easy,
Yeah.
super easy. But
Yeah.
then yeah, like definitely knowing some kind of knowing foundation for art, regardless
It's
whether you're a 3D artist or not, is super important.
It is very crucial. It just like because if you know that, it doesn't really matter which tool you're using. But saying that, like, also you need to be really smart. I would say, uh, also these days, I think the biggest problem is how you like. There's so many great artists. Like, it's probably too much, that
Right.
market can handle. And that's why people always question, like I get a lot of questions which I'm more than happy to help, but sometimes you can't put it in just two sentences, like people would go like, what shall I do to get hired, like, and then man, there's a lot of things you need and you can't do to get hired, this, yeah, how do you diversify yourself and look good and better than others, so, and there's so many ways to do it. You either like you can study hard, but everyone of us has 24 hours a day, so you got to be really smart about how you put your effort and where you put it. So that's why I think like I know that it's a joke like wizard and stuff like that. I'm not wizard at all. I'm just like really hardworking guy, but I'm also like trying to be very strategically into what I'm putting my effort into.
Yeah.
Is it going to help me at work? Like, is it going to be like improving my this and that aspect of my life or my career? So I guess that's how it works. And like even 3D code, like if I connect to what I wanted to show today, like for example, I started as a 3D artist back like when I was engineer, and it always felt like yeah, it's cool, but it's really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, man, I can't do 3D. I need to start something simpler. I went to 2D, right?
Yeah.
So did something, it looked like shit, and I slowly picked it up. At some point, I was a half decent 2D artist, and then obviously you start working in the industry, and you realize, oh wow, like you just realize the time frame that sometimes you're put into are so ridiculous. There's no way you can draw things, right?
Yeah.
All like sketch, all like whenever they come and say, "Oh, can you change an angle?" You're like, "Oh, shit yourself," and you have to redo it. So I started slowly picking up 3D, but I always felt like, man, all the 2D arsenal that I have, I should somehow use it. And you probably would agree with me in some aspects of 3D, it gets a bit too technical and it's quite different
Yeah.
from 2D as well. You can't just go and start drawing like wherever you want. You'd like need to explore new techniques and stuff like that. It always felt to me like I can improve that workflow. That's why I started using picking up 3D code and all VR and all those different things. For example, 3D code, for example, you can draw, man. Like you can just start and do whatever you do in 2D, but you do it in 3D space.
Yeah.
And then whenever I do this, people go like, "Why the fuck are you using 3D to paint into a 2D picture?" I will explain you why. Okay, there's
That's
so
why
many
you're
cool
here,
things.
man. That's why you're
Yeah,
here. Explain.
th- there is a lot of
Explain.
cool things about doing this in 3D. First, you get a lot of great things that 3D has, and for example, one of them in instancing, like something you don't have in Photoshop. So basically, what I can do, I can create an instance of this object, and I can go back, and whenever I do something on this guy, see,
Right. Yeah.
I get a duplicate. What it gives to me, let's say I'm working on Star Wars, I have to do hundreds of stormtroopers. It's impossible. I'm gonna draw them all, and that's how I do this. I just go and I just instance them all, like create those instances. Oops, didn't press. And I can do hundreds of them, and then they are fairly cheap in terms of memory because they are all just instances. And then what it gives to me, like you see, I can tweak an angle, I can change the camera lens, I can go to zoom mode,
Yeah.
or I can do something fairly quickly, and like I told you, at any point I can set up a scene first with just like with the scribbles, but then I can go back and start refining the scene.
Yeah, you basically sketch out your ideas, I guess, like in when you're working with 3D code, you just sketch out the idea and
Exactly.
and then you come back and actually build it.
You can either build it or like I think I saw this technique from Sparf like ages ago when he was doing spaceship, but he would first sketch out the profile and then
Mhm.
start warping it in Photoshop to get the right perspective. And it was a while ago, probably it was somewhere in my head, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should start doing something like that because it literally saves time. You see, I can draw the profile, and like if I want to, obviously it's a flat image, it doesn't
Yeah,
work
yeah,
like
yeah.
this, but it gives you a very solid base with the proper perspective and receding in perspective. So if I want to work it up, all I do, I just print screen, and I just go to Photoshop.
And you jam in Photoshop.
Photoshop is damn slow, slower than 3D Code. Yeah, Photoshop is not,
Lies.
not getting better. Photoshop. Okay, so I can go to Photoshop and basically here it is like a base, but then here obviously I can start fixing the perspective or whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
make it proper. Blah blah blah. But saying that you can make and I will show a few examples. You can make like a proper geo, like with like give it some dimension and stuff like that. But it's super cool, man. Like if you set up a scene with these instances, just like a layout, and then let's say you did like futuristic soldier, but they came and they said like, oh no, man, sorry, we forgot to tell you that the soldiers should be like conquistadors.
Mhm.
Right, you go like, okay, right, I'm gonna do conquistadors, and you just start doing conquistadors
Hell yeah.
you know
So it's basically I mean Photoshop at this point. It
it
doesn't
is,
have
man.
the pressure sensitivity though,
it
right?
it does. I will
It
show it to you
does.
in a second.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it actually it has a very interesting twist on that, and I'll also explain why. Because this is all real geometry, it's like a proper geo. Like you can see my polygons are 500,000 for the strokes, but it doesn't. It's different than from 3D.
It's
If you had like
voxels,
half,
right?
yeah, whenever
Yeah.
it's voxels, it handles it's like a boss. It doesn't. You can go up to 100 and have no problems. But
Yeah.
what is great about it is that first amazing thing, you can just save out your Photoshop brushes. Like you can just right click, go here, save brushes. It saves as a ABR file, and then you can go here and you can just like import
Are you
open
kidding me,
texture
dude?
file. Yeah, and just click on ABR file. Boom, it will come in as a.
That is
You see,
so crazy.
yeah, these are all my Photoshop brushes. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I've noticed.
and
That
then
that oh okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, that makes a lot of sense then.
it is because you can get very graphical image. Oh, let's just switch off that guy. You
Shit, I
can
gotta
get.
pick up that 3D code then, man.
And I told you 2 years ago.
I know, but I've always sort of fucking
Yeah.
been not doing that at all. I've
Man,
I've recently tried
ZBrush.
Oculus Medium.
What do you think?
Oh shit, I love it, dude. I actually gonna use it. I'm gonna start using it. I wanna
Yeah,
start streaming with it very soon.
yeah,
David Levy's gonna join me when he gets his set,
yeah.
and we're gonna
Well,
jam together. They adding
man,
some really cool features, man.
yeah. I think Oculus Medium needs a couple of other tools that once they do it, it's gonna be amazing. But still, it's a great program. I
Which tools
do
you,
all
you
my.
would have in mind? Like if which tools are you talking
They
about?
need a proper Surface tool. Right now, like I told you, like I always try to be very strategically with what I'm doing, and when I tried Oculus consecutively like for a few months, and I just realized I'm not getting. And I'm not saying to make them look bad. I'm just saying that if someone from Medium like would hear me,
Mm-hmm.
you guys should fix it. My time, the time I spend on something wouldn't get shorter. It is really difficult to get like proper surface sculpting. That's why. And then I
Oh, you mean
started
like
watching.
the hard surface?
No, actually, hard surface is amazing. You can do some really dope stuff with it. But like for example, if you're sculpting a character or creature, like the way in ZBrush you sculpt on the surface, and you can get some
Oh,
details
I
pretty quickly.
I know
You
what you
can't.
mean.
Yeah, you can't get there because you either like I saw the demo they were doing a new tool which is called probably Surface Tool or something. Once that is out, it's gonna be super awesome. But you know what? I'm super positive about VR. Whatever it is right now out there in the market, I love it because I think it's a very beginning of everything, and all of them they just need a huge support from communities so they can
Yeah.
make better tools and stuff like that. So, but like from concrete advice, I would love to have some surface tools because also another thing I realized I'm pulling the sculpt too close to my face to kind of get the details.
Mm.
And if you work like that for an hour or so, you just go so uncomfortable. Yeah.
I guess like for now the workaround would be just to sculpt like the base and then use other software
Yeah.
like ZBrush to actually
Yeah. Yeah.
add details,
Yeah.
those details that are missing. But one of the things that
Absolutely.
was mind blowing to me first is just like how intuitive the UI is and how easy it is to use compared
Oh
to
yeah.
any
Yeah.
other software that I used so far for
Oh yeah.
sculpting. It's
Absolutely.
you just grab it and you sculpt. It's fucking insanely good. And the
It is.
fact that the probably the most mind blowing part for me, and I'm an idiot by the way. Like I,
Come on.
I me and sculpting, dude. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
take it easy, all right. Um, but when I tried it, like you can with just one click, you can create like a kit bash part and use
Yes.
it for booleans. And for me, that was a mind blowing. And it's saved automatically as OBJ in the folder,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you can actually use it in other places too, which is just fucking crazy. That was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
craziest part because you can, in matter of days, you can build like a huge library that you can use for like kit bashing stuff, and it's
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
crazy. One of the
Yep.
one of the guys that was doing a demo over at the THU, I
Yeah.
think his name was Glenn. He
Uh-huh.
modeled this fucking Gundam looking mech,
Yeah.
and it's just like full of details, wires, like everything was there. I mean, it's still a sketch, right? Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong,
Yep.
but the
Yeah.
amount of details was fucking mind blowing. Like, there was so much going on there. I was like, holy shit! That's like how long did you work on that? And it's like, oh, probably 4 hours. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
That is insane. And he was like showing a demo of doing something, and then I just literally turned around to ask a question to David, and I'm turning
Uh,
back. It's like all of a sudden the demo he was doing had like wires and some details. Like
yeah.
how I just fucking turned around and it's already that
Yeah.
detailed. Like how on earth? When I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
trying, I was
You
actually
should definitely try and try all of them. Like for example, Gravity Sketch is freaking beast, man. Gravity Sketch is different though. Like
Gravity
what I
Sketches
like
for
about
Vive, right? Or does it?
no,
Oh,
you
you
have
can
it
use.
in both. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool.
Gravity Sketch is basically like super design heavy tool. Like I
Mm.
mean, one thing Medium will always have like limit of resolution. You will have always like you can probably get like very high res models, and you will. I did
Mm.
actually some really cool hard surface stuff in it, but there's always will be like this limit when it starts going slow
Right.
because of the voxel based thing. But saying that, man, medium is awesome. But I'm saying the reason why I'm saying is because Gravity, they actually started using this new concept when you actually like draw in 3D space using like splines and all that stuff. So it is super interesting as well, like
Mm.
the way you kind of definitely try it. It is different from sculpting because medium is a voxel based, Gravity sketch is NURBS based, but then in NURBS you can get very very clean surfaces, which is super useful, for example, automotive design.
Right.
Like I don't know if you've seen, like, for example, if you go on my, like, I did this one in medium, but I almost died. It was super tough, like especially doing like cutting all those bits and making them look perfect was quite intense.
Right.
But then in
But
Gravity
the
Sketch,
sketch quality, that's from the render, right? Or where
uh,
did you
the,
render that in?
this is real time. It's from
Oh, they have like a
Sketch.
shader that looks like that?
No, it's from Sketchfab. You see?
Oh, I mean, oh, okay. So the Sketchfab has like, because I'm talking about the shader, like the
Oh,
way,
shader. It's just when you turn on you just make it emissive and make it black, and then you
right?
basically you don't have any shading information, or make it gray, or make it something like this. So most of this could be done in medium as well.
Okay, okay.
But it was quite tough. Like for stuff, like when people ask you what's the best software, there's no answer for that, right? Every software has up and downs, and
Hmm.
like for example, definitely design part of it. I think Gravity does much more intuitive job. Like for example, you can do stuff like cars and vehicles. But I'm saying that I did like characters in it, which is also great. Like you can do this kind of guys and
So
as
those
well.
characters you did in Gravity?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then obviously like you can start rendering them up and stuff like that. Quill is great as well. Like for example, just the other day I did this one. I finished one of my illustrations. It's basically, and then Quill handles so many polygons. It's insane. Like you can create cities, sets, like whatever you want. It's just crazy. Yeah,
Right.
we see like, and you can animate it and blah blah blah. So it is it is actually, and like I told you, like I always felt like I don't want to put away my 2D skill, and that's why like even in 3D code when I'm doing something, just using it as I would use like
Yeah, you're just painting, but in 3D space.
e- exactly in
Yeah.
3D space. And then
You're
obviously,
basically putting out of work all of the. You're trying to put out of work all of the storyboard artists as well at this point.
oh, never know, man. It's so funny now. Like every like sometimes people post me like, "Oh man, why are you like trying to troll like traditional artists, trying to troll like 3D guy?" I'm not trolling anyone. I'm just
Yeah, fuck those guys, dude.
genuine. Yeah, I'm just genuinely like working hard to try to improve those tools. And if someone gets offended, man, it's not my problem. These days it's super hard not to offend anyone. Anyway, so I'm
I
just
stopped caring, dude. Like you literally you just have to ignore those people because otherwise you're just gonna go crazy. In my opinion, if you feel so unsecure that someone's doing a good work, then you should go fuck yourself. That's my sort of go-to
that,
phrase. Like if you feel unsecure that a person A or B is doing great work, then go fuck yourself. What else can you say to that person? Like what? I'm supposed to
that's true.
am I or someone else supposed to be worse because you are shit?
That's true. That's true.
Fuck
I
off.
mean, like it's not the first time people even verbally assault me. Not sometimes, like almost never it happens to me directly, but I hear this like, "Oh, this guy, whenever it's Inktober, he does this digital stuff." I was like, guys, come on. Like, I'm just doing
I
what
have a
I
news
like
flash to
to
those guys too. Go fuck yourself.
do. Yeah, it's
No, for
crazy.
reals. I mean, look, it's a fucking free country, dude. You do whatever you want. Do what satisfies your creative needs, man. That's really all that matters. You only
Exactly.
have one life, man. Like, are you gonna
Exactly.
Are you gonna adhere to some I don't know douchebags that just feel insecure about themselves? Fuck that, dude. I don't
That's
should
true.
not care about those people at all.
Yeah.
Like just cut them out from the life for
Oh, I did
reals.
it. I
Yeah.
did it the first time when I told my friend, man, I want to do concept art, and it was back in Tajikistan. And just if someone forgot, Tajikistan is like super far away from doing concept art or anything like that. He told me the same. He was like, man, who are you, and why you thinking that you can? Why do you think you can do something like that? I was like, I'm gonna do it, regardless what you think, and I did it. So it's really like up to you if you take it in and just
Yeah.
move on or start to spending your energy. I would rather spend my energy exploring new things than trying to please everyone.
No,
Anyway, let's just come
you
back to
should
this
not
one.
do that.
Like that's
Yeah, let's
probably
go.
the next level of the example I started doing with the soldiers. So you see, like I have like a bunch of this. Uh, like there's a huge scene with the fight. It's a bit laggy because of Skype, I think. But yeah, like you see, like I can control this very well, and I can
So you're
basically
just
go
adding
where.
like gradient layers to hide shit from the camera as well, right?
No, no, it's actually not
Or it's
that.
like a fog.
It's a shader that fogs away from you,
Oh, okay, okay, makes
which
sense.
which which makes things like super helpful. And once again, like if I go like let me select this one. Let me just like in Photoshop isolate it so it's not laggy. Boom. So what I can do basically here, like you see the layout I did,
Mm-hmm.
that was like kind of master scene, right? But now I can actually go and it is like sketch, but now I can actually go and, for example, if I, where's my tool? Oh, to the paint. Okay, boom, boom. Yeah, and now I can pick up any of my brushes and I can start refining this character.
So
Oh,
how would you turn that shit into 3D?
it is 3D already.
No, I mean like actual volume because
Ah,
right now it's a sprite basically, right? It's like a
yes,
flat
exactly,
plane.
exactly. Well, the question is, do I need to do that?
Right.
Or like, if I'm doing like a storyboard, I don't need to do it. But even like if I'm doing something more advanced, I can first see the like explore the composition because like if I want to do this in 3D, proper 3D, the setup time will take longer. Obviously, outcome will be faster.
Yeah.
So whenever I start something, I think about what would be the fastest way. That's why there's no perfect and ideal
Mm-hmm.
way of doing things. So I think like, okay, if I need something sketchy fairly really quickly, but also have a control of my composition, probably I will go and do this way, because I don't need like a heavy, uh, fully rendered picture.
Yeah. 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 Of course. But I remember like you did this sketch of this character. It was like I think a Mayan looking
Yes,
dude.
yes,
That was like fully 3D, right?
it was. Well, basically that one was. I'll show it to you later. It's a bit different, but I will show it to you later. But yeah, like you can see, I can start working up this character in Surrey. Like basically, I can make them not photoreal, but I can make a proper sketch. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I turn on the others, so you see, and yeah, like every character in this scene was updated. Like there are a few of instances, but every
Right.
one of these characters was updated. So that's how it works basically. You update one section and everything like instantly updates. So it's
Yeah,
very
that's
powerful.
that's really awesome for like
Yeah,
for painting. And I guess you're using the same sort of yeah, like for environments when you're building corridors and stuff. It's the
exactly.
same method. Yeah, it makes a lot of yeah, that makes it super like look easy in a way or
Yes.
easier than when you look at
Well,
just on the render
I always
itself.
put it this way. If it's technically easier, then you have more time exploring it creatively. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Like
You're just
if you, for
designing
example,
more.
yeah, you basically if you know that you have to model something and then it always gets in the way because you need to model, but then at the same time you need to design all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes could get super tricky. And yeah, like you can see, like for example, you can do corridors. It's just the same logic. You
Yeah.
you draw one section and it just like boom,
Just repeat
replicates
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
awesome.
that's what's gonna happen in VR and like in Gravity Sketch, you would draw like a part of a corridor, but you will have everything else like, replicated in almost instantly. So that could be really really interesting.
Looks
Uh,
good, man. Looks good. Makes me more excited about this. Should really get jamming with this.
yeah, but also like if we go to back, this is obviously is not covered in my course, but if you want guys to get into this, you definitely need to know all these buttons that we obviously not spending time explaining here
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's gonna be a waste
Yeah,
of
your
time. But
course does really well when it comes to like explaining the software and the usage of it. I mean, go and check the homeworks that people have been doing for your course, people. It's insane. Like I was just like, what the fuck is going on, man? When I
yeah,
first time saw like what people were doing with with your course, like hell yeah, makes a lot of sense.
cheers, man. And also, like the sculpting tool is super powerful in 3D code as well. Like for example, you can get. Let's just quickly change
So can you
HDR.
use 3D code in with the VR headset or
Well, 2 years ago, I went and I met these guys, and they started. We're gonna start it, and they will probably at some point because
hmm,
I think it has pretty good has every tool. It just needs a VR plugin, because they're like
right?
Vox masters.
It's a little more than
They did,
plugin, obviously, but there's like
yeah.
much more computing
No, no,
power that goes into it. But
absolutely. But they have all the tools, all these like crazy tools. Like for example, as I told you, like in 3D code, you just draw. Like you rarely like extrude polygons and stuff like that. For example, if I want like create like a sci-fi crate or something like that, it's super easy. Like all you need to do is just like you do this. See, you just draw like with the marquee tool, and
yeah,
very quickly you can get something like this. See?
yeah, very easy.
Yeah, super easy. It's like the booleans in 3D code, they work like crazy good because like you can then obviously like you can take this part and duplicate it and for example move, and also it's very similar to Photoshop, super similar. You can do this and like press shift, drag it on top. Oh no, with the control, hold on, drag it here, boom. So you see you've got like a,
Yeah, yeah, just your regular booleans.
yeah, super super fast, and it's just like all the tools. And then obviously once again the way I usually like if I need to do like any design modeling as a brainstorming part instead of going like deeply into 3D, I just do this. Like I go to 3D code and I start like for example, oh, okay, like maybe I should get the mechanism here, so I just sketch it like this,
Yeah, yeah,
like sketch something.
super fast,
Okay, it's gonna be here, and
and you can
boom, and
always like refine it later
oh
on.
yeah, I mean you can either upres it, but like so far because you're gonna put a lot of texture work on this and stuff like that. Basically, you don't even need to refine a lot of stuff because there will be rendering pass, texture pass, rendering pass, and then Photoshop paint over. In most cases, this is pretty enough. But then it allows you to explore. Imagine like if I was about to do this kind of stuff in subdiv modeling, man, it would take at least like
That would
some
be a
serious time.
yeah, like at least 2 hours or an
Of
hour and
course,
a
in the
half.
end,
Yeah,
you get amazing, amazing result. And that's why people sometimes misunderstand. They think like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna get this and it will do everything. No, it depends on what you want to do. Like, definitely with the sketching and like doing drawing stuff, you can get somewhere faster. But then there is a limitation in the fact that you can't take it to the next level as easy as it was in 3D. And then that's where you need to think about how do you approach it.
yeah,
Yeah.
hell
And
yeah.
also like 3D code has amazing like compatibility with stenciling. It's like you can project like JPEGs, like import JPEGs and stuff like that. For example, I can do this and like select this tool. Oops. And then you cut through using that tool, you see.
Oh, that's nice.
So you're just using like JPEGs or whatever. Like if you have a 2D artwork, obviously I had to do it in and then isometric view.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, and there are like tons of different uh,
And then you decide like how much you want to cut in and where and what. Yeah,
yeah,
it's awesome.
exactly. It's all customizable, and yeah, just getting this kind of thing really, it's painful. It takes too much time. And like I told you, like there's so many great artists, like including Vitaly. They're monsters. They can do stuff like this kind of stuff, like piece of cake. But obviously, I question myself, like, okay, I'm not Vitaly. I'm not as nearly talented as he is. So I need to be really smart at what I do, and plus I need to use my 2D skill, you know. So that's why
Yeah,
it's
but this is a
always
different workflow than what he does.
exactly,
You're not working with the CAD. You're not working with sub Ds and whatnot. You're working with pretty much sculpting and quick
exactly,
sketching, which is completely different workflow, and
exactly,
results gonna be different too. So yeah,
exactly. And that's how basically whenever like you know like as well when you work on product projects, like there's no single way of doing things. That's why I
no,
think concept
no,
art is quite different from like what sometimes people think about it. It's about actually solving problems like visual design problems. They come to you and they tell you like we want to like circular door, and you sit there and
yeah,
you kind of explore how can I make it happen. Or they tell you like, oh, this character is too scary, how can I make it less scary but still stay within the brief. So and there's no way you can just go and say like, oh, I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna use that. You just like use whatever is appropriate
yeah.
for that
They don't
workflow.
care what you use. They care about the
Exactly. Oh
results.
yeah, exactly. And they just care about what you use exactly. And like for example, also I like again this instancing thing. I'm so connected to it when I'm doing my workflow because uh, let's say like I've got an element in my scene which is in my scene it's somewhere deep in the scene, and I have like two of them probably, and they have like angle like this, you know. It's super difficult to kind of sculpt on this one because it has such an angle. It has like it could have potentially different objects around it.
Yeah,
So basically, the way you do it, like you sculpt this guy, which is your
and
like
you have
master,
instances. Yeah,
yeah, and you instantly you have it reflected on the two other guys. So for example, if I select it, if I do something on this guy, see, boom, it
yep,
appears on this
yep.
guy. And it is super, super. Why is it? Hold on, there is this stupid gradient. Hold on, let me just adjust. Bottom color, lightness. Oh, now it's much better.
You couldn't see shit, brother.
Yeah, it was too dark, isn't it? So yeah, boom, now it's much better. And that's how I use like instancing all the time, you know. There's another like, for example, super cool tool which is called Voxhide, and basically what it does, you can it hides your stuff, but then with the control you can bring it back. Let's say I can bring back some parts of it like this, and then you can go here and say objectify hidden, and it creates as a panel. You see,
Hmm.
it cuts it, and now it becomes like a separate thing,
Interesting.
which is really very very cool as well because sometimes that's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, 3D code is awesome, man. Like
Yeah,
I need to really start looking into it.
yeah,
It's awesome for sketching,
yeah,
definitely.
it is. And you know, like even like hearing your impression of Medium, I think like what's great about this approach and like Medium and the VR overall is that it feels like sketching. You know, it doesn't feel like proper modeling. You know, you can like a Medium,
Yeah,
you can if you want to do a cable. Like for example, if I want to do a cable here, I just go pick up a sphere brush and I do a cable. You know, job done. Obviously in VR I can do it in. You see, the only downside of FreeCode, you do have everything in planar space.
yeah.
But
That's the mind blowing part about VR
yes,
when you pick up Medium or whatever you else you were using, and then you start
yeah,
sculpting. It's like fuck, you're just like basically doing
yeah,
the Minority Report thing around
it
yourself, you
is,
know?
it is, and especially with like, man, I have a lot of hope on VR. Like, I think
Oh yeah, like
I keep
I think
I keep telling
they
this.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry, I interrupted
I
you.
keep telling this. I don't think the obstacle. There is a huge obstacle right there, but it's not technological one. It's not like in 5 years headset will be super light. It will be super high resolution. They're gonna catch up with that stuff. But I think now we have this obstacle in our minds, because it's a new thing. Like many people are like afraid slash don't want to explore slash like all those different reasons, and it kind of keeps this thing not developing as fast as it should be.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like about. I think some people are always looking for opportunities, and I'm definitely that kind of person. I see this thing, and I think, how can I make it or use it to make my workflow more efficient?
Right.
And same with VR. Like it's been a while since it was out, but then I was like constantly exploring, and I can see so many cool things coming with VR. The way you sculpt, the way you draw, the way you animate things, all those things, they're gonna be so much easier. And
Wasn't
once the, yeah,
wasn't it yesterday that they announced the Oculus? It's
yeah,
called
yeah, it
Santa
was
Cruz,
today.
or
It was
today? Yeah,
today.
Santa
Yeah,
Cruz, which is basically Rift
standalone.
Rift by but without cables, like wireless.
Exactly. I have no doubt
I
it's
mean,
gonna look.
wireless is gonna make it already fucking awesome. Like just
Yeah,
the fact that you have no wires, that's already great.
it's gonna,
And then it's just like it's just gonna go from there. It's gonna get smaller and smaller. Eventually, it's just gonna be a strip, and then you
yeah.
know, you still have the AR development that's going on, and they're doing some crazy stuff. And then by the time they develop it to a function that works really really fucking well, CRISPR will change humanity, and we won't need that at all, because you're gonna have
Exactly.
fucking Hulk everywhere running super smart.
Well, everything can happen, but I think
You know what
this is
CRISPR is, right?
no. What's that?
Oh, you don't know
Oh,
what CRISPR?
it's the guy who played Hulk.
No, 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 no. CRISPR. It's the genetic.
CRISPR.
Yeah, look it up. It's a genetic. It's like the how do you call it? Uh, they've discovered that you can basically edit genetic code
Yeah.
and change structure of genes
Hmm.
permanently. So, for instance, imagine a situation where you can take, let's say, for instance, you have Inuits, right? Eskimos and whatnot,
Yeah.
that are basically, they never going to have Alzheimer disease ever,
Yeah.
right? Because they're just genetically predisposed that they will never have it. You can take that part of their genetic code and inject it
Hmm.
to a genetic code of someone else, or an embryo, and that the child is going to be born,
Yeah.
it will not have Alzheimer disease ever. So they
Cool.
discovered that the genetic code, like I think they've discovered it through the viruses or bacteria, that there's like a repetitive pattern that has like a points where you can inject different parts of code that permanently change the way that genetic code behaves. If you look up CRISPR on NPR,
I will. I will.
I think it was Radiolab that did an episode about it.
Hmm.
Then yeah, you'll be blown away. Like first 20 minutes you get blown away, and then another 20 minutes you're like, fuck that, fuck my life.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, it's like they've been doing some crazy shit with it. They're talking about AI, like self mutating or self fixing genetic code that builds another self.
Hmm.
It's like AI in genetics, almost.
Yeah.
So it's getting into like a really fucking crazy realm. Like right now with the CRISPR, you can buy I think hops, like for beer production, that will make your
Hmm.
beer, the beer that you produce, gonna glow blue.
Nice.
It's fucking crazy shit, like some sci-fi shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem is, like, you can genetic, like they are definitely testing it, like if it's gonna work with humans, because they are testing it with animals and it works with animals with mice.
Yeah.
But mice have different genetic codes and it's completely different structure. They did some tests
Hmm.
with human embryos, I think in China, and they failed most of the time. But it's a matter of time when they will not fail
Oh yeah.
and actually make it successful. And basically, the idea is like you can start designing a new organism, like a
Hmm.
new human. And the way it's working is like the changes you're making to the genetic code are permanent, meaning if you would have a generation of people that would be born with CRISPR, that
Yeah.
means that would be a completely different race than humans are, because their genetic code would be modified permanently, so their offsprings would not have would adapt those changes and modify themselves from those changes and on. It's fucking
That's
crazy,
super
dude.
interesting.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Should definitely look it up.
Yeah, it's like when I've listened to it for the first time, I was like, "This is some kind of science fiction shit." And then the more I was listening, the more like that episode of Radiolab was like truly blown me away. Like I was shocked how, and that was already a while ago, and I know it's moving like a rapid fire right now. So
Yeah.
it's gonna get crazy very soon with CRISPR. So, yeah, I'm telling you, it's like fucking 20 years from now, you're gonna have first humans born with CRISPR. Gonna be like 7 feet tall, 200 IQ, fucking supermodel looking, like Brad Pitts and Angelina Jolie's everywhere.
Yeah. That sounds
Yeah,
good.
no
Sounds good to me.
diseases, nothing. It's gonna be fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
It's actually exciting to be part of all this stuff. There's so many
Yeah,
cool
you're gonna
things
be
you
a
can
fucking
do.
old man. You're gonna have those super fucking humans around you. You're gonna be like you're gonna be like in the zoo. Like you're gonna be a zoo because everyone else is gonna be so perfect, and you're gonna be this fucking dysfunctional, dysfunctional human
And,
1.0 and human
yeah,
2.0 everywhere else.
anything can be anything. It is exciting, man. I'm super excited to have all this stuff happening right now, and I'm also like reading a book about like how they're trying to expand your lifespan and all that stuff. There's so many. Yeah, it is interesting, and I'm super happy that I'm part of it. And like even like with what we do, there's a lot of new cool developments. You compare like even like art is like concept art, which was
Yeah,
like 10 years
gonna
ago,
blow my
and
nose by the way.
how it is right now, it's super different. So and it's gonna be only getting better and better. And it's up to us
Sorry,
really
guys.
where we take it. So really cool.
Yeah, it's the changes that are ahead of us are crazy. I don't even want to think about them. But yeah, it's. I guess if we manage not to kill ourselves within the next 50 years,
Yeah.
we might be approaching a very interesting fucking age of humanity.
It is a
It's gonna
different
be
call
very
though.
very cool.
People are trying to kill you when you're doing digital Inktober these days, so it's kind of no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, but
Did you hear about that AI experiment that Facebook had a while ago?
no, what was that? Oh, when
Uh,
it became self. No, it. I hold on.
it was
What
like
happened exactly?
they've
And
run two programs that
yeah,
and just to see what kind of conversations they're gonna have with one another,
yeah.
and they had to pull the plug because the programs created in matter of seconds they created their own language and started talking to one another in their own language that no one else could understand.
Nah, good move.
We're
Good
fucked,
move.
dude. We're fucked.
We're doomed, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, look at you playing fucking
Yeah, it's just like
Doom.
this corridor that I was showing how to create, and then I just created a 3D model, and then you connect it to camera, and it you can like create a very quick level. So if you're working on games and you need like a quick level design just to see how everything looks,
Yeah,
it's
that's
probably
really
took
cool.
me like 30 minutes or so to do this. And then also like you can do animations and all that stuff. It's so really interesting. Like it's like I like the idea of VR and IR because it will bring different creative kind of additions to what we do. Like you
Yeah.
can do a sketch, but then you can animate it slightly. You can put a little bit of animation. Like for example, look at this one. Uh, and you can travel in this sketch. You can zoom in, like
Yeah.
look what's going on there. You can zoom out, and basically, like if I press a combination, it looks like a crane motion.
Yeah.
It is super cool, and especially when you consider the fact that you can connect like DOP director, art director in the same scene, and they can art direct you and tell you, oh, can we make this stuff bigger or this much smaller?
Yeah.
Just exactly what we do these days as a 2D artwork. But then once they put in everything in 3D, it could change. It could change again once they
Oh hell
render it.
yeah!
So
This is and so that's when I was blown away by Medium, that they're making this feature where right now you can, someone who has a headset can join you and be a spectator
yeah,
as you're working. And then very soon they're gonna have a feature where you can collaborate with someone. So you're sculpting and someone else is sculpting on your sculpt real time.
oh, I thought you can do it already in. There's a program called Masterpiece, I think, and you can sculpt as a
Right?
dual
Yeah,
mode.
but I'm talking about Medium specifically.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's all gonna happen. You're gonna have your own VR world. You're gonna play your music, have your TV next to you. You can, from time to time, just like in regular world, you look around and you watch a movie,
Yeah.
and then you can work from home, from anywhere in the world. So it's really cool, man.
Yeah, I like where it's going. It's scary because you have to be on top of it, and you really should be like paying attention where the world is going with VR and everything.
Yeah,
If you're not in 3D, you should definitely start thinking about getting into 3D, at least to understand
yeah,
the concepts of it, so that when
yes.
VR hits you, you can hit the ground running.
hmm
But if you can start doing something with VR, you definitely should. It'll be worth a while. So how did you sculpt the character in this scene?
Oh, I did it in Quill. Everything here was done in Quill, and like I told you, like Quill is a beast. It can handle so much geometry.
So so is it like actual volume, or it's like
It
you would
is,
did?
but if you can, when I click on it, you see the geo wireframe. You see?
Okay. So it's like it's not real volume like you would sculpt with ZBrush or whatnot. It's more like brush strokes that create the volume.
E- exactly.
Okay.
But then,
Okay, that makes sense.
like I told you, it's so different, and would be completely unwise to use it as a sculpting software because
No, I
you
understand.
just switch off shaders.
It's like Tilt
Yeah, and
Brush, but better.
yeah, I would say like yes, the same logic. But then obviously, if you're doing like a stylized stuff, but like I think personally for me, I keep joking about it. Sometimes people get offended, but I can make turd look really great in 3D, right? I can pick up like a piece of turd, run through Octane, it's gonna look amazing. So
Oh, yeah,
I'm
of
not
course.
really
Always.
worried about how well I can render something. I'm always like thinking about how well I can tell a story, or like design wise how I can improve stuff. So like personally for me, this kind of stuff is enough. I can take it and paint it up, use some photos, use a bit of painting, and it's gonna look photoreal. So
No, yeah, of
but
course.
I'm more worried about like how can I frame it to tell a story? Should I go like this? There's a crow here, right? Should I then? I probably need to go for a wider angle so I can show them both. And if it was like a heavy, fully polished 3D, it would take me much longer to get here. So they
No,
both
yeah,
have
of course, of
advantages.
course. I
Stuff
understand
like
the logic. I was just curious, like how
that.
you've done so that there's no transparency, because normally you would have that transparency. But I guess if you put enough like white strokes, and because you
Yes,
basically
and you
made
can
white
see
and black, right? Yeah, okay.
if I move my geo, like
So
you
it's
can
like
see
layers.
exactly just like layers,
Okay.
but in 3D. And obviously for some stuff, it's all just pure geo and in black. But if you want to do something like this, obviously you need layers. But then, like I told you, as an interesting thing, like you can, because if it is not a 2D drawing, it's a 3D thing, you can start playing with like colors very quickly. You can get all this, you can start changing different colors, see?
Yeah.
And just playing with that stuff. And especially if you, for example, when I was using 3D code, you can get some really interesting results. Let me just launch 3D Keyshot for you and show it to you. Because you're painting with real geometry. There is like material factor that gets into play, because you can change your materials and get different looks and results. Like I can show you, for example, this one. It's gonna take a while. Okay. It's basically, it's like a drawing, but then there is a thickness to it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why you can, depending on the renderer and depending on your material that you're using, you can get some really nice and unexpected. It's basically, you can go from ink towards watercolor like in a matter of seconds just by changing the material, because it's a physical object like this one, you see. Like
Mm.
it is like brush stroke, you see, it looks like it's being brushed with something, but then because it's a 3D material, like I can instantly change it, you see.
So the brushstrokey stuff comes from the sculpt.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is actual sculpt, and just it in layers. That's why it keeps you, and like playing with transparency
Yeah.
and give it some time, it will look like ink. You see, this looks like it's
Oh
being
yeah,
done
it's
from.
getting close. That's
Yeah,
insane, dude.
it is very interesting, isn't it? And obviously, on top of it, you get all the beautiful things about 3D. You know, like you can go and do
Changing the
all the,
camera and whatnot. Yeah, of course.
yeah,
Of course.
which bring, and then depth of field, all those cool things about 3D. So
That is awesome,
that's
dude.
that's super exciting. And the more they develop tools, like they will put more effort into Quill, Medium, Gravity Sketch, we will get all these cool tools, and they will open us new possibilities, creative ways of doing things. But just as you said and I said numerous times, it's important to have fundamentals. Without that, everything
Yeah.
else is just like tools, you know. And once you have a solid base, you can make
Yeah, it's time
anything.
it's time you spend to learn it, and then, obviously if you have solid foundation, every tool will be just a tool. You're going to learn it and you're going to run with it. It's as
Yeah,
easy as that. All right, dude, let's
yeah,
jump into some questions. There was quite a few. I'll
yeah. Let's do it.
select through some of them.
Let's do it.
Um boo, 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 boo. Some of them been already answered, guys, by the way. Like as we were having the discussion, I was asking those questions myself. Some of those that have been asked here were already answered. So I'm gonna skim through some of them. If you don't get them answered, just watch the video again and you'll probably find the answer to your question there. When did you realize that VR is a tool that is worth investing your time into?
It's an interesting question. Well, as when you try it, you just understand it. You know, like it's it's pure logic. There's nothing beyond it. It's not like you try it and you go like, wow,
Yeah,
you have a special feeling. It's just like math. You think, okay, where I can use it? Oh, I can use it here. I can use it there. I can use it here. You know, it's all about like, just like I said a few times, thinking about the strategy. You know, and if you think that tool will work for you, I would definitely invest into it. And saying that, like, sometimes I could say something bad about ZBrush or any other software that I don't use personally, but I always go back if someone says me, "Hey, there's this cool thing in Modo." I go, "Wow, let me check it out," and I go and check. So I think my answer would be just being open-minded and trying it, and then if it fits and your style, the way you do things, then you just go for it. When I tried VR for the first time, I felt like, yes, it combines my 2D skill with my 3D
hmm,
uh, skills, and it just makes a better and faster job. So that's the moment I decided I need to put and invest more time
yeah,
into that.
makes sense. Do you use your VR sketches and 3D sketches for professional work?
I do, I do. It's all developing very slowly. Like for example, we got our VR headset in the studio, but now we're waiting because I work for Disney. We're waiting for some legal things to be sorted out. So you can't just go and install every software you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I do, and I know people who are using it professionally on a very high level. So it's slowly picking up, and people start using it for professional needs. Because, like we said a few times, it's super intuitive. It
Yeah.
gets you faster, and there's a lot of things you can do with VR that you can't do with regular 2D/3D approaches.
Yeah, it's getting better. Like I remember when I first first tried Tilt Brush. That was like a year and a half ago. That
Yeah.
was just like, it felt like a mimic. Like it's like sort of like a toy. It wasn't like a actual
Yeah.
professional tool. You know, it was like a very, it's infancy. It didn't feel anything like that I would use professionally ever. Same was with when you picked up iPad for the first time and you had those sketching apps. They were like very very sort of,
Yeah.
eh. Today is like a completely different story with the
Yeah.
Procreate and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to me it was the same thing. Like with Tilt Brush when I started a year and a half ago. I don't know if it developed over time or not, but compared to that experience that I had a year and a half ago
Yeah.
versus now with the medium, like holy shit, it's a night and day in
Yeah.
terms of like what you
Exactly.
can do. So like to me it was almost like my initial reaction was, and obviously you've mentioned some of the surfacing tools and all of that, so but looking past that, my first reaction was like, but of course I'm not gonna use ZBrush ever again, because it just felt so
Yeah.
intuitively awesome
It
to
is.
use it.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It is useful because you basically sculpting and drawing in real 3D space with your
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
Like, and including ZBrush, 3D Code, all of those guys, they do 3D stuff, but it's a screen-based interaction. Anything you do is restricted by X, Y, or just screen-based field. And you need to rotate in order to get to different parts, your camera or either your model. So once you actually see how it works and how precise you can be, like the speed you can do something
Mm-hmm.
is increasing dramatically. And also the fact that it's so immersive, you can judge how big things are. Like if you're working on real props like cars, game assets, movie assets, that's something that has to be built. You can at design stage, at the concept art stage, which is the cheapest stage of movie production,
Yeah. Oh
comparing
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
real like
Oh yeah.
production. You can answer all those questions
Yeah.
just by having
Absolutely.
2 3 guys who work in VR and doing all that stuff.
You've been on sets, right? You've been on
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
sets. You know how much money is being burned every
Oh
minute.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's you can see where the money is going
A,
by
a
seeing
minute
those
a
sets.
minute of fucking set is like your couple of days of work.
Exactly.
It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, once it gets like once it gets people on the set with the cameras on, that's where the money is starting to burn like really fucking
Yep.
fast. Yeah,
Okay.
someone
Next
asked about
question.
the Z depth. Or no, it's not the Z depth. The shader. Remember that shader? I was asking like, how do you get it? How do you get it with that? So it's
Yeah.
fading away with this distance. I guess that's Z depth, right? In the shader itself.
Yeah. In the new version of 3D Code, like there are different shaders, and the one I was using was the Toon shader. And it basically, when you right click on this Toon shader, edit permanent, there is this fog density, so you can increase it. And as you increase it, basically, yeah, you see it because my model
So
is.
why it's black?
That's a good question.
Because normally
Maybe
you could show
no,
outlines,
maybe
right?
I don't know why is it
As a toon
black, but
shader.
trust me, that's the guy who is controlling it. I don't know why it's not
Okay,
working.
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Fucking do it yourself and figure it out, guys. um,
Before you ask you can ask the next question, but I also wanted to show you this example
yeah, go
about
ahead.
like remember I told you like I always try to think about how much time it's gonna take me and how much I on design I can concentrate. And this is something I related to like 360 techniques that I was developing. I was like, okay, let's say like if I want to do this in real, like properly, like I would do the 3D block, I'll texture it, get some decent engine, get animations. That probably will take me a day or so, just like
Yeah,
to do it manually. But look, if I zoom out, you will see it's just a freaking sphere. See?
right.
There's no geometry. It's just like I can click on the sphere. You see, it's just the sphere. But because I'm in the center of the sphere, I can rotate and it gives you impression of this 3D space.
Yeah,
And because it's all painted, changing all this stuff is super easy. So, like,
yeah.
let's say they come in and they say, "Oh, we don't like this panel," so I don't need to
So that
redesign
was
everything.
Photoshop, right?
Yeah, it's all Photoshop. Oh, no, I
Yeah.
think this is a combination of 3D code and Photoshop. So in
Okay.
3D
Yeah.
code, you can do it as well. So, yeah, just a perfect example of how you can think in advance and then use whatever tool will
It's like
take you
it's like
faster.
almost you're just basically painting the HDRI map, but your HDRI map
Exactly,
becomes the environment itself. So
exactly. And
yeah,
but like doing HDRIs back in the days was pain in the ass, but now these days it's super simple. And that's how you basically do it. And if for example, in the scene, if I had a gun, it would reflect all this environment as well. So it will be very close to the final concept slash like
yeah,
prototype that I'm working on. Anyway, let's jump on the next one.
yeah. I'll go with one more question, and
Yeah.
we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to prevent yourself from getting lost during your experiments and explorations?
Um, well, it depends on what they mean by getting lost.
I guess it's
Like,
just like when when you experiment with stuff, and it's almost like it can be a sort of like a like a Pandora box, right? Where it just like it can just have so much thing in there, so many
yeah,
things in there that you get lost with like which of those things I'm supposed to like take and run with,
yeah,
because you're just like learning, oh, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and you sort of like you're trying to find maybe another element of that exploration that sort of like
yeah,
allows you to do specific things,
yeah, yeah.
but it might be behind like a technical barrier, which means like you have to spend a little extra time in order to develop it.
Yeah. Well, I think my biggest secret for that, I would do it actually at work. Like, because I know where I need to go. Usually you get lost if you don't have a target, if you don't know where you're going,
Right.
You
Yeah.
can keep doing it's like all of our personal projects are looking like this. I'm pretty sure you have it as well, Maciej. When you start something and you do something, oh, it looks cool, and then you want to make it better, even better, and never kind of
Right.
actually finish it because you don't have this final goal that you want to achieve. That's why doing it at work, you have a deadline. It's Wednesday, lunchtime. 5 people gonna come and see what you did. So then you think like, okay, I'm gonna have a different take on something, but I need to make sure that I finish by that time. So that you limit your
Yeah.
choices. You go for something safe, and obviously always you leave a margin for like a backup plan. If you fail, you have to do it like you did before. But you know what? Like from my own experience, 90% of the time you get there because it's like problem solving.
Yeah.
It's just like you have a problem. How do I get there? And then you choose all those different tools of ideas and you start putting them together, and eventually it comes out as a much more efficient and creative solution, usually. And if
Yeah.
you fail, there's always backup plan. Go straight 2D, no 3D. You can just paint everything,
Yeah.
or like use something that's easier, straightforward. But that's the beauty of our profession. It's not about creating, like, especially if you're talking about concept art. It's almost never about creating the most beautiful picture in the world. It's actually
Yeah. Solving
designing or
problems and
solving
ideas.
someone's design problem,
Yeah.
how to make it
Exactly.
happen. And having a goal and a deadline will always keep you on the right track so you can solve it on time.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Awesome. Yeah, we can wrap it up. And guys, if you have any questions, obviously this hour is not enough to show everything. There's so much, like Maciej said, like
Yeah, I'll
VR is
get you
just
back. We'll get you back on the stream
another
soon.
beast. And if you have any questions, you can ask us and me. Like we will do our best to
Yeah.
address those. And yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, man. Fun times as always. You're always welcome to come back. So let's do it again. Let's do it again sometime soon.
Yeah, obviously we should do it again because I want to hear Ash's sexy voice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, can't live without that. It's been a while.
Hell yeah. All right,
And man,
guys. Let's
get well. I know it sucks being sick, so get well as soon as possible.
Yeah, I will. I will. Don't you worry about that. I'm getting better, so it's just a matter of days now. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining the stream, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care.
See you. Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Mwah, 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 mwah.